My number one piece of advice, if you have any kind of business, would be to see if you can crowdsource the idea and see if you get traction.
Hey, if you're trying to go in this direction, go find someone else who's done it before and learn from them so you can get there faster.
What is the importance of building a virtual presence, an online presence, a personal brand when it comes to the entertainment world that you're in or entrepreneurship in general?
It's not enough to be talented anymore. And I think that applies to both business and the entertainment industry. I'm sure we know a ton of talented people that are out there that have great ideas in business or that are super talented as dancers, but don't understand that there's another element of building that personal brand.
You often have to sell a lot more than equity in your company. You may have to sell your soul. And that is a choice you might have to make, and you might want to make it, but that's the cost.
How do you do that? What's the mindset around asking someone to invest in your business?
Well, I actually learned that the hard way by...
I had this mentality of, I can always be where I am today, so why not try?
I think that's really the power of building a personal brand, is to reach more people, to be seen, and to be able to impact more lives.
Welcome to the Jen Gottlieb Show.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Jen Gottlieb Show. I'm so excited you are here. We are coming to you from the Dominican Republic. That's why we've got lots of sunglasses on and sundresses. We're actually about to go ziplining, which is why I'm in my workout clothes, but none of the ladies. Oh, Jen's in her casual wear, but everyone else wanted to get dressed up for you. So, if you're watching on YouTube, you get to see this amazing lineup here of beautiful entrepreneurial women that I get to be with right now. And if you're listening, that's what's happening. If you want to go check it out on YouTube and see what's going on here, we are at a beautiful villa in the Dominican Republic. And the reason that we're here is because this is our Inner Circle Mastermind. And we've been in I guess you could say, an entrepreneurial container for the past year together, working on our businesses. Everybody that's sitting with me right now is an entrepreneur that's running a business that I'm just going to go ahead and say is crushing it. And when I say crushing it, I mean making an impact in the world. And then also, of course, making a lot of money too. So these ladies are very accomplished, incredible women. And what we do is we gather every single quarter to come together to help each other with our businesses. Because I really, truly believe that in this world of entrepreneurship, we are really not meant to do this alone. There is so much power that comes from connecting with others in the world that we're in. Because, listen, if the power that has come, and you guys can all, whenever I go around and ask you guys questions, will probably agree that just being able to sit with another woman or man, a human that has a similar situation going on as you, or a similar problem or a similar issue, and be able to bounce ideas off of, number one, makes you feel less alone, and number two, helps you implement in a different way. I've seen these ladies grow so much. This is our final retreat of the year. And I was like, you know what? I learned so much from you. I want my audience to be able to learn from you too. So let's do a podcast. And I sprung this on them, and they don't know what I'm going to ask them. So that's what's really fun about this. I'm like, all right, everybody, we're doing a podcast. It was so last minute. I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to ask you. But what we're going to do, if you're listening, is I'm going to make sure that every lady that gets a chance to speak, or everyone is going to get a chance to speak, is going to say who they are and what they do before they answer the questions, so you know who you're listening to. And of course, we're going to put the list of all of the amazing women and their businesses in the show notes, so you can get to know each and every one of them. And if you're watching, you just get to watch, so you'll be able to follow along easily. So my plan is, and they obviously, this is not a gotcha thing, but I really do want to learn from you myself. I'm really curious. I was thinking this morning after I was done with my workout, what are some of the things that I would like to learn personally from each and every one of you? And I came up with one question for each of you. And I'd love to hear you talk about this topic. And I really was, audience, I was tuning into you guys and thinking about what you would want to know based on all the questions you ask me every morning on Get Ready With Me. And some of the questions that I just don't have the answer to. You guys know, those of you that are shippies and you get ready with me every morning, there are some times where I was just like, I don't know the answer to this, but I'm going to find out, and I'm going to find somebody that does. And I know right now that I'm sitting amongst women that do have the answers to some of these questions. So I'm so, so excited to dive in and hear your expertise. And let's start. So my first question is for Kareen, all the way on the end. So Kareen, you're an expert in leadership. You've built a lot of businesses. You've helped a lot of people build a lot of businesses. You coach a lot of people. You have an app called Ask Kareen because you have so much insight and so much information about how to run businesses and how to strategize and how to plan and how to make more money, essentially. I was thinking about this a lot, and I got really excited when I thought about this question because I truly want to know what you would say to the Kareen who is first starting out in entrepreneurship. The very first, I guess you could say, month of business for you, when you were diving in and you just started, if Kareen today could go back in time and talk to her, what would you tell her? What advice would you give her first starting out if this is the one thing that I want you to know going into business right now?
Thanks, Jen. Thank you for having me. Kareen here, and I am an entrepreneurial coach, advisor, and I help businesses grow and scale with their exit in mind. And thank you so much for having me. So if I were to go back with all the wisdom I have today and into the beginnings, I don't know that I would actually change that much. I think that at that time, I had this mentality of, I can always be where I am today, so why not try? That was literally my energy from the beginning of launching into entrepreneurship, because I did the same even when I was in a corporate career. When I wanted that next promotion, or if I wanted to go into that next venture, I would say, well, I can always come back to where I am today. Why not try? What I would say if with all this wisdom now is that I would probably gather more advisors or join groups faster than I did back then. I was running my business on my own for almost about 4 years before I actually discovered masterminds or discovered groups or coaches even to work with to help advance me. I was doing it all on the knowledge I already had. I went to business school. I had a strong acumen. I had a great network, and I built on what I knew, but I didn't know how to build and scale or think about that even at that time. So I think I would have advised her to get into groups faster and not feel so isolated. It can be so isolating when you first start out. And I would have said, hey, if you're trying to go in this direction, go find someone else who's done it before and learn from them so you can get there faster. Because it's the fastest accelerator when you can work with people who have gone before you. And I'll tell you that, and listeners and audience, you guys, if you don't know this already, I know you probably do because you're in Jen's arena, is that when you can ask questions of those who have gone before you, they are so willing to help you. There's nothing wrong with asking questions. And it's literally why I built the Hey Kareen app, was because I wanted to break that barrier down and just go ask your questions, but find the experts.
Love that.
So that's what I would probably tell her. Be like, you don't have to do it alone. Let's move forward. Go ask of the people who've gone before you and learn from there. But you can always be where you are today. And then take that risk and jump into it.
Thanks, Kareen. Thank you so much. No, I'm good. Now, actually, you answered my questions by me telepathically asking them to you. You went into it.
You're listening to The Jen Gottlieb Show.
All right. So, Marley. Hi. Marley is the founder of Med Companion. I'll let her tell you exactly what she does, but you're an amazing entrepreneur and mother and wife and a baker. You do all the things. And when I was thinking about what I wanted to ask you, really genuinely what I wanted to learn from you and what I think our listeners would also want to know is, what do you think is something that people aren't talking about enough on social media or just in the public about being a mom and a business owner? Is there something that you know is going on that really needs to be talked about? Maybe if there's somebody out there that's trying to manage motherhood, entrepreneurship, and they're maybe struggling or they need some advice and you're like, I'm not seeing this out there. This is what's going on and I just want to let it be known, or some advice that I would want to give, because I feel like you're living it and you have so much wisdom in that area and you're being successful in both areas. What's not being talked about enough?
Hi, Jen. Thanks for having me. So I'm Marley Brodsky, and I am the founder of this amazing company called Med Companion, where I help people understand, advocate, and navigate their health by leveraging our innovative app and saving them time and money. But I think what is not being talked about enough as moms is that we see moms crushing it and the social media filter of having it together and having it be perfect can sometimes be harmful to working moms because you feel like if you don't look like that, then you're not succeeding. And I often just put things on there about what my kids are struggling with, what I'm struggling with, because I don't have it together. And most of the time, if I'm sharing something where I am crushing it, I'm also sharing something where I'm probably failing. So, for example, I am in the process of launching a pretty successful service line that I'm very excited about. But in the background, I haven't been as present with my kids. I've had to sacrifice that time. And sometimes I have this mom guilt, like I'm not doing enough. But then I also see my kids showing up and being like, Mommy, I'm so proud of you. Or Mommy, thank you for working so hard. And I feel like those are the moments that people aren't talking about. And then there's also moments where I am just breaking down because I know that when I'm here, I'm also missing something at home. So if I'm crushing it at work, I'm probably not crushing it as a mom. But if I'm crushing it as a mom, then something is failing in my business most of the time. And I've learned that I just have to give myself more grace. And I have to know that if I'm showing up at 20% or 30%, I'm still giving it 100%. And my kids still see that. Their mom's not perfect and they still love me. So I like to remember that.
Thank you for sharing that. I think we just had a gigantic exhale in the vortex of moms that feel that way. And I think that it's definitely an issue now when we open up our phones and we scroll social media. And I think that this is the same for motherhood, for entrepreneurship, for fatherhood, for health, for the way that we look. We see all of these maybe filtered images or something that was set up and produced maybe it is the reality and that's okay. But we're seeing everybody's 20th chapter or highlight reel or when they finish something, when they've accomplished it, but we don't necessarily see the messiness in the background. And if we're struggling on our own in life stuff, because life is hard, entrepreneurship is hard. I'm sure parenthood is hard. I'm not a parent. I'm a stepmom. That's hard too. No one's really as much of, Marley, I know you said you share and that's amazing, but not many people are sharing that part. So it can get very, very lonely in our little social media vortex if we're struggling and we're just seeing all the great stuff. So I really appreciate you, Marley, for sharing that because you are an amazing mom and such a successful entrepreneur. And so it's really, really nice for us to hear that you're balancing it just like everybody else in the best way that you can. All right, let's go to this side of the couch. Let's hit up Jen Eden. So we're going to go totally on the other sphere. And this is for entrepreneurs out there that are at a level right now where you're going to be raising capital. Jen is the founder of Tampon Tribe, and I'll let you also introduce yourself. But eco-friendly, sustainable period products changing the world. This is a big company with a lot of team members. You're raising capital too right now. So you are at the moment in your business where it's time to take other people's money and you need it. And I know that there's women that listen to this show that are starting businesses where they're going to start raising money. They're going to start raising capital. And I think that that's one of the hardest things to do. Ask people for money. And we were talking about this at, I don't know if it was at dinner or breakfast, one of the moments during this mastermind where you said something really interesting to me that reframed my viewpoint of raising money. And you said, all money costs money. It's like, how much money are you willing to pay for that money? And when I thought of it that way, I was like, just like a dress costs money, just like the hat costs money, my phone costs money. Like I'm willing to trade money for that thing. If you need money and you need capital for your business, you have to be willing to trade something for it. And I'd love for you to give some advice for anyone that's listening that's going to raise capital or in the future or is right now raising money for their business. What's some tips that they need to know?
This is a loaded question. I'm Jen Eden, and as Jen said, my company is Tampon Tribe. We do organic and plastic-free period products. So Tampon Tribe is a bootstrapped company, and we took that route to begin with because we're a very impact-focused company. So if you have an impact company, it's great to raise money from the community around you because then that community helps grow the company. So there are a few different ways you can do that. And we actually started with equity crowdfunding. So actually I crowdsourced the company's products before we even launched, which was really interesting. We had an Indiegogo campaign. And so before we launched the products, I put them on Indiegogo and let's see if people like them. You know, we got this little groundswell of support and people that were pre-ordering. I'm like, awesome. Now I can buy the products to satisfy those orders. So great product market fit testing. So my number one piece of advice, if you have any kind of business, would be to see if you can crowdsource the idea and see if you get traction. We did. We also iterated a lot of products in that stage. If you don't get traction, that's a really good time of the business to kind of recalibrate before you've invested a lot of money into something that you might think is great, but maybe not everybody else does. So that was tip number one. We then went on to do equity crowdfunding using two different instruments, a safe note and a convertible note, which we're raising on now. And we did that on a platform called WeFunder, which once again is sourcing from the community around you. Now that does cost. All money costs money. So this is a raise where you use a financial instrument that converts to equity in your company at some point in time. And so therefore you're giving up some of your company to have the cash. So that's what you're paying for, the cash, right? And then that would be my second tip for once the company's moving along. You know, you can show some traction, you can raise some money that way. And it's a lot of work, but it's great. And once again, you create this community around you, which is fantastic in terms of success of the company. You can then also move into Series A and larger rounds and venture capital. And that's a whole other conversation where you often have to sell a lot more than equity in your company. You may have to sell your soul. And that is a choice you might have to make, and you might want to make it, but that's the cost. So if you want $10 million, $20 million, $100 million in investment in your company, that's not for free. Those investors are going to want a piece of you, and that's fine, but that's the cost. So not only are you giving up a part of your company, which can excel growth, so it's totally worth it, but you're then playing by somebody else's rules. Because they will be wanting a spot on your advisory board. They're going to be wanting monthly, sometimes weekly, quarterly reports. And they'll hold you to account, as they should. They've just put, $10 million in. But the cost of that is great. Mm-hmm. And then you can also, for a consumer packaged goods company, such as myself, you can sell your invoices. There's invoice factoring, there's invoice financing, but once again, you're paying interest. So all along your fundraising journey, it's going to cost you something. And you kind of have to just be at peace really early on that money costs money.
One follow-up question. When you're reaching out to a friend or a family member and asking them to invest in your business, this is what everyone's thinking right now. I don't want to ask them. I feel bad. I'm not going to ask them for money. How you do that? Great. How do you do that? What's the mindset around asking someone to invest in your business?
Sure. Well, I actually learned that the hard way by not asking friends and families to begin with. And then everyone was like, why didn't you reach out to me? Why didn't you ask me? And they felt like they'd missed out on an opportunity. So then that's reframing that. You have an opportunity.
Yes.
And you're presenting an opportunity to the people in your immediate network, and it's there for them to read, to discover, and to decide whether that's right for them.
Beautiful.
So it was only through learning what we didn't do in the first rounds, because you feel really guilty. Like you feel like you're selling Amway, which is also fine if you're selling Amway. There is nothing wrong with, MLM sales. It's a massive industry.
For those of I didn't know what Amway was. What is that really quick?
Oh, it's like multi-level marketing products. So you've got the whole strategy with multi-level marketing is you go and sell to your friends and family first. And everyone closes the doors unless they want to get in on the business, right? And there are tons of successful companies that exist now and people do very, very well in. But it can be a little cringe, you get very nervous. But what you find after you start asking people or just presenting the opportunity, then it's up to them. You're surrounded by smart people. They'll decide whether the opportunity is right for them or not. And sometimes they it's not right for me, but they know someone it's right for. And then so that introduction can be, priceless. So I'd say go for it. You've created a business, a course, something that you're excited with. And it often stands to reason then that other people will be excited as well. So give them that opportunity. If they say, no, that's fine, and then you'll pitch to a lot of people. I can't tell you how many no's I've got in my life, how many times I have pitched. And every founder will tell you this if they're in the fundraising stage. I'd say hundreds, not quite in the thousands, but hundreds and hundreds of pitches. And every time you got to pick yourself up and you go in and then you get the right investor. You get the right people. So just keep going and make sure you have all, your ducks in a row, but don't be afraid to ask for sure.
I love that. I always reframe sales as an invitation to an opportunity. And that always helps me. Like, if you love your offer, if you love your thing, if you have no doubt, like, we're going to be successful, you want to get in on this, it's like, you are going to love this show. I use the analogy of like your favorite Netflix show or your favorite restaurant a lot when we're talking about sales, because nobody here has a problem like harassing their friends to watch their favorite show because they know they're going to get value when they watch it. I get texts from did you watch it yet? Did you watch it yet? I'm like, if you only sold your products and services the way that you're selling me whatever show, Married at First Sight or whatever your show you're trying to get me to watch, then you would be very successful. Thank you, Jen. That was a masterclass. It was a masterclass. Amazing. Okay, so we're going to stay on this side. I'm going to go to Anne right next to me. Anne is a jewelry designer. I will let you tell. I keep saying, I'm going to introduce you, and then you reintroduce yourself. But I love bragging about my ladies. You're unbelievably creative. Creativity oozes out of you. You're wearing your beautiful jewelry. You're so great at styling yourself. My question for you is actually for the creative people that are watching and listening to this right now, including myself. I often get creative blocks and just get stuck. And whether I'm in the middle of writing a book, or in the middle of creating a course, or even podcast ideas or content ideas, or trying to think of a new offer, you are so freaking creative that it oozes out of your veins, and you can sit down and make things that come out of nowhere, like your beautiful jewelry that is just a vision in your mind and you create it. I'm always so impressed by that. Do you ever have creative blocks? If so, how do you move through them?
Great question. Thank you, Jen, for having me. I'm Anne Chikahisa. I'm the founder of Chikahisa Studio. I make bold symbolic jewelry that connects to your soul. And I feel very, very fortunate that I don't have creative blocks, but I think it's because I'm I do a lot of meditation. I do yoga. I stay centered and true to myself. And I'm always just living in the moment and exploring my environment, whether I'm on a walk or I'm reading a book or I'm shopping. And I always find something that inspires me. And I keep a visual diary in my phone. I take a lot of pictures. Like, if you looked at my photo album, you'd be like, why did she take a picture of that? Like the rock on the ground, or why did she take a picture of the sky? It's the textures and the shapes and the color and the shadows of the sun. And so I keep a big, huge visual journal for my inspiration. So when I go to creating, I will look at that, and sometimes it becomes my story. It's also on my travels. Like, I just launched a brand new collection, and it was inspired by my trips to Whidbey Island. So it's called the Whidbey Collection. And it's all about my experience there, not just the visual experience, but how I felt in my soul. So I take that and drive it into my inspiration. So it has way more meaning than just what the visual look of it is. So
I love that. I think that was just the most perfect answer, because you don't have time to have a creative block, because when you're in flow and you're getting all of the information that you need for when maybe you're not feeling it. So it's like, that's so good. That's like just whenever you get a frequently asked question or an idea for content, if it comes to you, write it down. So for those days where you're not feeling so creative, you can open up that album or you can open up that list and you can go to something, and then it's there. And usually when you start creating with that, it'll make it flow, right?
exactly.
So good. Everyone go check out Anne's jewelry. It's unbelievably beautiful. The Jen Gottlieb Show is sponsored by BetterHelp. It's sometimes hard to remind ourselves that we're trying our best to make sense of everything. And in this crazy world, that isn't always easy. I've been in therapy for years, and big shout out to Debbie, my therapist. She's helped me learn positive coping skills, how to set boundaries. She's empowered me to do the best that I possibly can in the scenarios that I'm in. She's helped me to recognize some of my past trauma and how it affects the decisions that I'm making today. And most importantly, she's just a great listener. If I don't want to share things with all of my friends and family members, or even on this show, I know that I have a safe space in my therapy sessions. I am a big believer in therapy, and that's why I'm a happy sponsor of BetterHelp. BetterHelp is entirely online. If you're thinking of starting therapy, you can give it a try because it's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. So visit betterhelp.com/GenG today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/GenG, JENG, to get 10% off your first month. Give BetterHelp a try. All right, Rebecca. Okay, I'm going to ask her. We have the acne coach sitting next to me right now. And you have helped thousands of people heal from really bad acne. And acne, I know because I struggle sometimes with breakouts and acne. And I did when I was a teenager really badly. And it could completely wreck your confidence. And I'm all about being seen and putting yourself out there. And I think it's so important that we take care of ourselves enough so that when we present ourselves, it's easier because we feel good about the way that we look. I think that's unbelievably important. And the work that you do is so great. And I want to know, like, everyone that's watching that maybe struggles with skin issues, there's a lot of information on the internet right now. It's like a fire hose of what you should put on your face, what you shouldn't, what you should do, all of these weird like trends that are happening in the skincare space, and everyone's trying to sell something and everyone's trying to sell an idea. It's crazy town. I can't even look at it because it's like, today I need to do this and tomorrow I need to do this. And then it's too many things. Your system is very simple. So I would like to know from you, when you scroll the internet and you see all of these trends and all this stuff that's going on, what is one thing that you're like, this is happening right now and everyone needs to not do it? Immediately stop. Like, this is a trend that is not okay that I'm seeing on the internet, and this is going to not be good for your skin.
Thank you, Jen, for having me. I'm Rebecca, the acne coach. I have a digital virtual, I specialize in treating acne virtually. And I also have a product line called Clearology that is for acne and aging. That's a really good question. The answer to that is, honestly, it's almost everything. That's funny, but it's true. Present me a trend. I look at everything, and really, let me put it this way. I haven't seen one recently that I'm like, there you go, that works. LED masks maybe are okay. The recent one is the shot of olive oil. That's all over TikTok. Drink the olive oil. And olive oil is actually fine for acne and skin in general. But what people don't understand is olive oil, 90% of it is adulterated. So it's not real olive oil unless it's from like your small local farm, like somewhere really good. It's cut with peanut oil and sesame. Those are highly inflammatory oils. And so there's this trend going on right now about taking a shot of olive oil for your skin. And people are like, why am I breaking out? It's because of that. And really, these trends, like I said, I have not seen one in recent years that is something I would agree with. They get people off track. Like you said, Jen, there's so much. It's just an onslaught of information all the time. It's so overwhelming. I feel so sorry for people because it will get you caught up in this acne experience like I had for 15 years following all this stuff. And even the 5-star reviews on Sephora, tried them all. They didn't work. My clients tried them all. They come to me just so broken down. And I'm like, it's really just these few things. That's what I've created. My system is just as simple as possible. The method that I use that I started 18 years ago is still true today. If that answers the question, much has not changed in my formula. So I don't advise my clients to scour the internet. I say, don't even look. Even if you do and you're like, that's cool, I wish I could do it, it's overwhelming. And you already feel terrible when you have acne, and that's the last thing you need is to feel worse. And as anyone with acne knows, you're trying all of these things, and how is your skin? It's not good. So there's really no one thing that I have seen of recently that works, that helps. Unfortunately, coconut oil, terrible. It's not a trend now, but it was. It's the worst thing for acne. I wish I had a better answer.
That's a great answer.
Well, as to do this and it'll be fixed, but that's not how it works, unfortunately. So my advice is to watch from a distance, but don't try the thing.
So what would if they're not going to try the thing, they should hire a coach like you? I mean, like, obviously, well, if this is fine, let's see a commercial for the acne coach. But guidance and simple ingredients.
Here's what I would actually say. Rather than even hire me, I have created, after years and years of experience, a download. And it's super valuable. This is like all of everything I've put together in all of these years. And it's the 10 things that cause acne and the 10 things that don't. And it surprises so many people. I get this a lot. I'm like, this is what someone just said this morning. I'm starving. I'm like, it's like becoming an eating disorder situation, because people think they have to avoid everything. It's all over the internet. That's not true. My clients can eat almost everything with a few exceptions. So on this list, read it through and follow it. You'll be allowed to eat things that you didn't think you could eat if you've been starving yourself when you have acne. And it tells you exactly what causes it. This is true for 95% of the people I have ever worked with. It's that dialed in. So that's what I would say.
Where can I get that?
theacnecoach.com.
Boom.
Yep.
There we go.
Yeah, and that should help.
That just don't listen to anything on the internet except us. Just kidding. Okay, so Crystal, amazing entrepreneur, multi-million-dollar business. You help retailers. You help small business owners, retailers that are mom and pop shops, and you help them grow their retail stores, and you help them be connected with other retailers. You're doing incredible work in the world with your podcast and everything. I'll let you talk about that. But you also just got married, and you also love to write, and you also have amazing friends, and you love Catan, and you have all of these cool things about you. Love to dance. And one of the things I love so much about you, and what we've been saying throughout this weekend, is just how special you are as a human. I mean, business aside, and you really have this very full life. And there's a lot of chat in our space, entrepreneurial space, about work-life balance. If you can have it, if it's a thing, if it's more like work-life integration, how do you look at work-life balance or work-life integration? Or how do you create a multi-million-dollar business while also having a very fulfilled life with a full wedding weekend of all of these people that aren't entrepreneurs? I don't think many of them are, and they're just in your world and obsessed with you, and you guys had so much fun. And like, I can just imagine that that's how full your social life is at the same time. So work-life balance, is it a thing for you? How do you create it or not? What's your mindset around it?
That's a good question. And it's funny because I was like, I want to ask Jen a question, and maybe it's about balance. And so here, I'll give my take. But I'm Crystal Vilkaitis, the Wolf of Main Street, founder of Rooted in Retail. And thank you for saying all that, because we have amazing people in our lives. And friends, family, connection is just something that's really, really important to me. And it always has been. kind of feel like I just grew up that way. Like growing up, we would always get together for everybody's birthdays and play games. And when we moved, my now husband, Dustin, and I, when we moved to San Diego, we were both transplants. So we always hosted all the holidays for everybody. And we just have incredible people in our life. And I love to work, and I love to create, and I love connecting and unplugging. And that really does fuel me to go back in and work hard. And
There's a book.
and
we'll find out by the end of it.
He talks about how it's all about our environment and what we're putting ourselves into. And now it's going to drive me nuts that I can't think of this name in the book, but
Happens to me so much.
Yeah, it's so frustrating.
But what does it say in the book?
The whole thing is like, it's these habits, like rituals almost don't exist. Like you can't have that kind of structure. It's all about putting yourself in a certain environment. And so, for example, like if you go on vacation and you do disconnect, this is often where I'll get my best ideas. I'll answer a question that's just been like stuck for a while. And maybe I've even asked people that question and I'm not really like resonating with that answer. Often it's like we have to find our own answer and ask ourselves. So when you put yourself in certain environments to allow for that information to come in, for allowing yourself to receive, or if you're in the environment of like, I'm head down, like I'm in a busy season right now. And so I have to be head down, really working a lot. There's a little less socializing but I know that it's coming to an end here soon for honeymoon time, or then I can switch. And so it's like you have these deadlines that you put on yourself to allow yourself to, willpower doesn't exist is the name of the book. And, because that's the whole thing. It's like not about willpower. It's about structure. It's about environment. It's about like, goal setting. It's about those kinds of things. And so that's what I've done for myself. I don't think we can have balance. I was like in the world of like, I must have balance. And I actually created too much balance or like too much free time. I delegated too much. And then I was sitting there like, what am I doing now? And I was bored. I felt off course. I felt like in the wrong place. And then I wanted to burn everything down. And I just think that balance doesn't exist. Like it's okay if you really do like to work and you maybe spend more time working and you make time for the stuff that you love. Like actually, Jen, you said something that I woke up thinking about this morning when we were in the pool yesterday. It was like, you're so busy fundraising and doing so many things. And you'd like to mentor some people because you're like, that's what I want to do right now. And I also want to infuse some extra revenue. And that's where I'm at. Because when we know, like, this is what I need to do, we'll make it happen. Like, you find the way to make it happen.
Get outside of your comfort zone and into your best life, one small step at a time.
Hi, Miss Menina. Menina's in a really cool industry that I'm definitely intertwined with a bit. And so I'm really excited to talk about this. So Menina is the founder and CEO of Business of Dance and former dancer, former performer, now teaching other dancers and performers how to actually build a business and how to make money doing what they love. They don't teach you this at the American Musical Dramatic Academy, really. They don't teach you this when you're in the dance studio learning how to do pirouettes and practicing in your recitals. They don't teach you how to actually go and make money and have a career in this industry, which is why I think many amazingly talented people aren't seen because they just don't know the business of dance. So Menina's going out there and she's teaching it in such a beautiful way because you've done it. You've built the career. But what I want to talk to you about is the fact that the business is changing. The entertainment world it has made a big shift. It's changed. It is not what it used to be when we were in it, or at least when I was in it. It's a completely different ballgame with social media and personal brand. And now what you're seeing is many really like not so talented dancers that have huge followings are getting the gigs over some of the more talented dancers that don't have the personal brand, just because these artists or these studios or whoever's hiring them want somebody that already has an audience built in. So I would love for you, because you're the expert in this space, you're in it. And I think that this will resonate with everybody that's building a personal brand right now in 2024 going into 2025. What is the importance of building a virtual presence, an online presence, a personal brand when it comes to the entertainment world that you're in or entrepreneurship in general?
I can definitely speak to both of that. Well, my name is Menina Fortunato, and I help aspiring professional dancers create their dream dance careers by teaching them the business side of dance. Because that I've found growing up, there's so much emphasis on training. As you know, you were a student of AMDA, and actually have some AMDA students that are a part of my mentorship program. And it's not enough to be talented anymore. And I think that applies to both business and the entertainment industry. I'm sure we know a ton of talented people that are out there that have great ideas in business or that are super talented as dancers. But don't understand that there's another element of building that personal brand, which didn't exist in my generation or your generation as dancers. In my time, it was the dream was to dance for Janet Jackson or Michael Jackson. But you were always the backup to the stars. And that has shifted and that has changed thanks to shows like Dancing with the Stars or So You Think You Can Dance, or even just in the pandemic, we've seen an evolution of all of these dance influencers that are creating personal brands. I've personally worked with several of them that have millions of followers, that have more followers than someone like Paula Abdul, who I've worked with. But as a result of that, are getting brand deals. They're getting opportunity that dancers that perhaps are not building a personal brand. So even, for example, some of my dance influencer friends, I mean, they're making $15,000 for a 30-second TikTok video. There's an entire industry now that has completely shifted. But equally in business, I think the value of building a personal brand, which I mean, I really, truly have learned a lot from you, especially in this past year, because I also felt that I had the talent of mentoring dancers, but so many people didn't know what I was doing. So I had a different approach. I don't have millions of followers, but I built a personal brand through the media. And this past year, I've been published in over 400 media outlets, TV interviews, ABC, NBC, Fox. I've got an article coming out in Forbes, another article coming out in Success Magazine. I was on the PR press line for Gala of the Stars. Gala of the Stars is a big dance award show at the Beverly Hilton Hotel in the same ballroom of the Golden Globe Awards. I got to interview Paula Abdul, Jojo Siwa from Dance Moms, and Abby Lee Miller, and Allison Holker, and Maxime from Dancing with the Stars, and all these incredible dance industry professionals right next to TMZ, People Magazine, E! News, Us Weekly, and my Little Business of Dance podcast. So it was really a pinch me moment, but also reminded me the importance of building a personal brand, because I wouldn't have had that opportunity had I not put myself out there, whether it's online, whether it's in the media. And I think that same rules apply in business, that you can have an amazing product or service, but if nobody knows what you're doing, then you're not going to be able to sell it. And sales is service to me. And I love what I do because I'm really, truly changing lives. But I need to get the visibility in order to reach more people. And whether it's building a social media presence, whether it's building a media presence in the traditional media sense or a combination of both, I think that's really the power of building a personal brand, is to reach more people, to be seen, and to be able to impact more lives.
A girl after my own heart. Yes. And oh my gosh. First of all, thank you so much, everybody here. This is amazing. I think we need to do like a part 2 of this, because I could do a whole nother round. Well, every single woman on this panel is going to do a one-on-one podcast with me. So I'm really excited about that. So we'll dive into each one. But please take some time, if you're watching this or if you're listening, to go into the show notes and find the IG handles and the websites of all the ladies here. They're amazing. Every single one of them you want to follow, because they're doing big things and they're vulnerable and honest and authentic about what they're doing. They're the real deal. So make sure you follow them. I want to circle back just to close this all out with some more conversation, I think, because Crystal asked me a question. She challenged me about balance. And I think that it's actually really appropriate that we talk about that as we do business and also have fun together right now in the Dominican Republic. So this is a great example of what I think is quote unquote balance. I have zero balance in my life. It's zero. There is no balance. I don't know what that is. Okay. At one moment I'm here and the next moment I'm here. I do believe that you can do all the things. You just can't do them all at once. And the way that you can combine them and integrate them, like work life, what I love to do is this shit. This is life to me. So with the concept of work-life balance, I think many people think of it like my life is like fun and enjoyable, and my work is hard, and I don't like it. And so I need to find some balance where I work and I put in the effort and it's hard, and then I also need to have time to have fun. And a lot of people, unfortunately, do live that kind of 9 to 5, Monday through Friday kind of a mindset. And I just never really have, because I grew up performing and I loved that and I wanted that to be my job. And now I'm an entrepreneur, and what I enjoy more than, I couldn't lay at that pool for more than 15 minutes if you paid me. I would want to be on my phone, creating content, talking about business, thinking about the next offer I could create, thinking about the next podcast episode, mapping out what my next video is going to be or what the next launch is going to be like. That's what lights me up. That's fun for me. So my life has become such where my husband works with me. So that's like my life and my work all together, where pretty much everything that I'm doing is work and life, and it's all just my life. And I love this concept of neutrality, of it all just is. And my friend Gabrielle Lyon teaches me a lot about that all the time, where she's doing all kinds of things, being a mom and going out there and crushing it in business and filming this and filming that and having a huge book and then having a Good Morning America thing. And I'm like, this is so much stuff. How are you? She's like, it's all just my life. It is all my life. It's all part of it. It's not work. It's not life. It's not balance. It's not nothing. It's just I am me. I am Jen experiencing all of these things. And if I could have more time where I'm doing what I love, all of the work is going to feel like life. And so I've just kind of come to terms with the fact that I'm not ever really trying to have work-life balance. And one other thing that I will say is that I have tried, because I have listened to people out there that say you should have it. What are you doing? You need to relax. And actually, business is very relaxing to me. I get very stressed out when I'm not doing business. It's like the other way around for me. But I am married to my business partner. And so many a relationship coach have told us that we need to have date nights where we don't talk about work. And you don't want to be around us when we're at a date night where we're not talking about work. You do not. It's a very sad thing, because we've tried it, and the thing that we love, that lights us up, that turns us on, that gets us excited about each other is talking about business because we love it. So break the fucking rules. So we're like, you know what? I can't wait to go on a date night with you and talk about the next thing we're doing together. That's cool. Who's to say what your life should be? Burn the boats of what it's supposed to be. I love this concept of there's no right or wrong way to do it. If somebody on the internet tells you that there's only one way to do it, you have to do it this way. Bravo for them for standing on the hill that they want to die on. And that's amazing. And I love when people take a stand for things. However, we need to listen with caution. We need to take it in with caution, because we're all so different, with different goals, with different superpowers, with different viewpoints, with different family lives, with different values, with different things that we want to achieve in this world. We're all so unique. Just because something works for someone does not mean it's going to work for you. Make up your own shit. We're in the world of 2024 where you can do whatever the hell you want. You can make a living doing that thing. So cool. It's the coolest time to live. And so I invite you, even if you're somebody that is currently living a 9-to-5, Monday through Friday kind of a mindset, and you're stuck in that hamster wheel of that feeling and you want to get out of it, I just invite you to start exploring, listening to people like the people that are on this panel. Not that they're any better than you at all, because you're probably better at a lot of things that we're not so good at. Just that there is proof that people are doing it. And I take a lot of comfort in that. I take comfort in watching and listening to people that are doing what I want to do, and also really honest about the fact that it's not always easy. It's not always a highlight reel. It's hard, but they're making it happen and it's working for them. And then take what you want and leave the rest. Key. Whenever I've tried to build something because somebody else told me I should build it, and whenever I've tried to build it in the way that they've told me exactly how, it's never worked. Because I have never liked it. I've never wanted to talk about it. I didn't want to make it seen because it didn't come from me. It wasn't mine. I could talk about so many different things. My book cover, the way that I launched my book, certain aspects of ways that I started building businesses when I first started entrepreneurship that failed miserably, that I spent thousands and thousands of dollars on, that I never saw the light of day because they weren't aligned with me. So now when I build and when I create, I have to always constantly remind myself, and I don't always listen. I veer off the path a lot, but I bring myself back as much as I possibly can. And conversations like this remind me too. I say, forget everything, Jenny. How would you do it if nothing else existed? Nothing else existed. How would you do it? No one's ever done a course before. No one's ever done a launch before. No one's ever done an 8-week program before, ever. They've never done it. How would you do it, knowing what you know, with your superpowers, with what you enjoy, what feels fun and good to you? Because when you're having fun and you're feeling good about what you're doing, you're going to want to do it more. You're not going to need work-life balance anymore. It's just going to become life because you can't wait to get up and do it. And I really want to thank you all for being here, because you all do that so beautifully. And I'm so grateful to be surrounded by such amazing women. Love the men, but I love being around amazing women that are leading the way doing this. And thank you for being on the Jen Gottlieb Show. And everybody that's listening right now, all I want you to do after you're done with this, just to thank all of the ladies for their time today, is to just go give them a follow and maybe send them a quick DM, connect with them in any way. If they provided some sort of value for you today, let them know. Let them know. So thanks, guys. Thanks for listening, watching, wherever you are in the world. Love ya. See you next time on The Jen Gottlieb Show.